Think we're live. There we go. Yeah. Hello. Hello. Got Laura and Barbara on here. We'll have some more folks coming on. I'm just playing around, waiting on things to get going. Hello, hello. Let's see who we got now. Melaine, Cheryl, and Suzette, and Beverly. The way this program, the one that I have to use to make this thing work, eventually the comments start to scroll away and I can't see what's happening anymore. So I like to go back after and look, see what's going on. Hello, Virginia and Charlene. How are you guys? Good to see you all on here. We're going to go here in a minute. I'd like to give everybody a chance to pop on. Hi, Lisa. Hope you're feeling all right, Lisa, that you're doing well. I've been hearing good things. All these little... Isn't technology amazing? Sitting here in the... Hi, Carla. Hi, Jordan. I never thought when I was a kid that this kind of thing would be a real thing. I'm a big Star Trek fan. I used to watch it when I was a kid and got into it. And you watch the stuff on TV and you never think it's going to be real. And then here we are. How about that? Somebody invented all this stuff. Figured out how to make stuff fly through the air so that I can sit in an office and talk to you guys all over. Well, you could be anywhere in the world, isn't that well? Oh, good to hear it, Lisa. So glad to hear it. All right, rocking along, rocking along. Oh, another Star Trek fan. Love Star Trek. Have good memories of that. I used to watch that when I would visit my mother's parents. Two TV things that I really remember with them. One was my granddad loved Andy Griffith, and I still love Andy Griffith. I've seen him all multiple times, so we would watch that together. And then they would let me stay up late because Star Trek came on at 10 o'clock or 10:30, I don't remember, and they would let me stay up late and I could watch Star Trek, and I thought that was great when I was a kid. When you're a kid, things are cooler, I guess, because I don't know, you don't know any better. I don't know, but it's all good. All right. Okay. Well, it's 4:34. I'm going to go ahead and kind of get rolling with what I want to talk about today. So the hymn that I'm going to talk about today is probably one of the most well known, in if not the most well known. Most Americans would probably say it's the most well known hymn, and it's certainly one of the most well known. Well, I think will continue to be one of the most sung and well known hymns, and you'd guess it. If I gave you three guesses, you'd guess it in one of the three. You're probably already thinking of what it is, and you're probably right. The guy who wrote the lyrics was named John Newton, and we're not actually sure who wrote the melody. So John Newton was raised learning scripture at his mother's knee. Eventually he became a sailor, and he eventually became a ship's captain, and he worked on merchant ships. So he wasn't in the military, he was a sailor on merchant ships. And on March 9th, 1748, when he was a young man, he was only 23, the ship that he was on nearly went down in a storm. And Newton wrote, and these are his words, he said, "That 10th of March is a day much remembered by me, and I have never suffered it to pass unnoticed since the year 1748. The Lord came from on high and delivered me out of deep waters." Well, during the time that he was sailing, the slave trade was in full tilt, the triangular trade, as it was called. And Newton, being eventually a ship's captain and a sailor, saw many horrific things as these people were carried from Africa to other parts of the world against their will. So it took him time for his faith to grow. But eventually, Newton became a staunch abolitionist, and he fought to end slavery in England. And there's actually a really magnificent film about it. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you watch it. The film's title is the title of the hymn that we're going to sing together here in a minute. It's called Amazing Grace. And as Newton aged, he slowly went blind. And so those words that are so familiar to us, "I once was blind, but now I see," took on a particular significance for him in his later years. Newton worked with a lot of people, including a man named William Wilberforce, who the film that I just talked about, Amazing Grace, it's mostly about his life. And just a side note for people who are interested in this sort of thing, it's one of Benedict Cumberbatch's first big roles, and he was fabulous in it, and it was before he was famous, and he plays William Pitt, the younger, one of the prime ministers of England. And it's a really great film. So Newton worked with William Wilberforce to help end the slave trade. And in 1807, Parliament finally abolished slavery in Britain. Newton rejoiced to hear the wonderful news, and he would leave this world later that same year. Just a couple of interesting musical things about the song. The first one is that the melody is pentatonic. So, if you didn't know, I'm doing a class on music right now, and it meets tomorrow. I do one in the morning and one in the evening, so it meets tomorrow morning at 9, and then tomorrow evening at 6:30. And if you guys are interested, if you'd like to take part in that, I'm actually doing Zoom for the night one. And one of the things we're going to talk about tomorrow, well, the main thing we're going to talk about tomorrow is scales. So this song is in what's called the pentatonic scale, and what that means is that the entire melody is made up of 5 notes. That's it. So the whole thing is on those 5 notes. Now, some people in later years, and you might have seen a YouTube video, there was a video that was really popular not too long ago that talked about this, and the man who talks about it in the video is a pastor named Wintley Phipps. Wintley Phipps. And if you've never heard him sing, the man has an amazing voice. And he talks about the song, and he talks about that some people have speculated that maybe Newton or whoever put this melody heard it on the slave ships, because the pentatonic scale, the 5-note scale, is very common in folk music and in African music. And in the video, Pastor Wintley Phipps points out that the melody of Amazing Grace can be played just on the black notes on the piano. So the black notes on the piano. So which 5 notes. Now, I don't know that that has any particular significance to the history of the song. I don't know that anybody was thinking about, the black notes on the piano when they wrote it, but it's an interesting thing that it turned out that way. And it's an interesting time that we live in. There's a lot of racial issues that are boiling in our country right now. And I also want to mention, just while I'm thinking about it, that part of our gatherings along the way are some classes that are being offered by Pastor Kelly and Pastor Tamara that deal with these very issues that we're all facing together right now. So I encourage you to take advantage of the different classes that we offer and the things that are happening in the different ministries here at the church. And of course, would love for you guys to come and take part in the music class if you're interested in that. So before we get to actually singing, the last thing I want to talk about this song is I think the lesson that we can take from it. Now, you may have heard a preacher talk about Amazing Grace at some point, or a music director talk about the song, because it's a powerful song. The words are so simple and yet so poignant, and that's why we'll keep singing it for so long. But I think we can take a lesson from Newton's life. And the lesson I think we can take from him is that he was capable of expanding his heart to embrace change. Newton was a slave trader, and he died a staunch abolitionist who had personally helped to end slavery in Britain. That is a huge, massive change in your heart. So I want to briefly mention something called sunk costs. Sunk costs. That's the idea that you've already invested so much in something, so much time, so much sweat, so much money, whatever, that you just got to stick with it. You just got to ride the thing out. And sometimes that's a great trade. That's not a bad thing. Sometimes we need to grind it out. We need to stick it out. We need to get through the difficulties of life. But sometimes when we realize that we need to change because what we believe, what we're doing, simply doesn't reflect God's grace, well, then it's time to open ourselves to the possibility of change, at the very least. So for Newton, instead of saying, I've always been a slave trader, I'm going to believe all the things that all of these people around me are saying about these people with a different skin color than me, because the general attitude of people at the time was that these people of a different color were inferior, and that's why they enslaved them. So Newton looked at that and said, this doesn't reflect the grace of God that I've seen in my own life, and I need to change the way that I'm viewing this. And it's something that's so easy for us to look back at, because, today if you said, do you think we should enslave people? Well, only somebody who's crazy would say, yes, of course we don't believe that. But it can be difficult for us to face the things we need to change in our life, whatever those may be, when we've got the idea that this is the way it's always been and this is the way it has to be. So as we go through this song together, you think about these words, amazing grace, the grace that God gives to us, that God gives to everybody, regardless of what we've done or the kind of people that we've been or the things that we've said or have or haven't done. I think once was blind and now I see is something that never leaves us, and that we can continue to participate in growing in God's grace no matter how old we are, no matter what we've been through. And shouldn't we always be seeking to remain open to becoming more gracious and more loving and more kind? And isn't that what it means to be and become like Jesus? I think it is. And I got to tell you, that's a hard thing for me to say, because there are things in myself that I know that I don't want to change right now, or that I'm not sure how I would change. So I'm not saying it's an easy, simple process. What I'm saying is that God gives us grace as we go through the journey, and that's what the song is about. So thanks for listening. Thanks for going through that. Now, I don't know that you're going to need the words for most of this. You're sure not going to need them for the first verse, because everybody knows the first verse to Amazing Grace, right? Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart I missed the lyrics on the third verse, and you know why I did that? And this is just, I have to tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know why I missed the lyric on the third verse? Because I hit a little thing in the keyboard, and I thought, hey, that's pretty good. I like that. That was pretty good. Just like Peter when he steps out of the water, right? He steps out, he walks on the water, and we know what happens. He takes his eyes off Jesus, and he goes right down. See, when you take your eyes off of Jesus, man, everything just starts to go sideways. And I think that's the lesson of the song today, to be open to God's changing grace, no matter where he leads us, because he always leads us to the still waters and to goodness. So thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys being here today. Hello, hello, hello. I see I got several more folks to say hello to, and I appreciate y'all being here. And yeah, it's good. Good. God is good all the time. Thanks. See y'all later.